This is probably one of the most annoying scenes of the Tudors TV show. And why that? Probably because, when you really think about it, it depicts Anne in her worst possible way. So there's a lot to break down, which is a very, very short scene, but we're going to try to do it. So here we're in January 1536, and Catherine of Aragon died. And we have this myth that Anne Boleyn is just joyful about it, so happy about it, that finally her rival is dead. I'm not saying that, she must not have felt some relief, because let's face it, she had to fight for the title of England until then. I mean, so many people still did not recognize her as Queen of England, but the truth is, even after Catherine's dead, these people still did not recognize Anne Boleyn as the rightful Queen of England. So that was still a problem and a fight that in many ways she's going to give to her daughter Elizabeth I, who is going to have to fight for legitimacy and to prove that she was a Tudor, that she was meant to be on the throne, that there were rumors that she was not actually the daughter of Henry VIII. It's crazy when you look at those two. The portrait is very clear that she's related to him. But then there was obviously discussion and dispute of the marriage, of the union of her parents, Anne Boleyn and Henry VIII. So that's one thing. And here you also have another thing, another myth that we need to completely shatter as well. The fact that Thomas Boleyn is so awful, so dreadful, that he played, and I see it in so many of the comments, not necessarily on YouTube sometimes, but on my Instagram, where people are just coming at me telling me how awful he was. And when you look at the recent research done, especially by the fantastic Dr. Lauren Mackay, you realize that it's absolutely not true. And if you want to know more about Thomas Boleyn, even George Boleyn, I would highly recommend, obviously, Lauren Mackay's work, but also the BBC Two documentaries if you don't want to read. BBC Two documentaries, The Boleyn's A Scandalous Family. I participated in it with fantastic historians, Dr. Owen Emerson, Gareth Russell, Dr. Elizabeth Norton, and Dr. Linda Porter. So many historians who have a huge knowledge of the period and of these historical characters. So here again, we have a very, very bad representation of Thomas Boleyn. It's quite cringy to watch, if I'm honest, but let's do it.
I know how I got there. And it was not all you. It was not all you, or Norfolk, or George, or any other man you want to name. It was also me.
Okay, so here it's very interesting because, again, we're playing this theme that, Thomas Boleyn just put his daughter in the hands of Henry VIII. And there's a bit of truth in that. Not in that sense, though. In the sense that, yes, it did help the Boleyns that Anne Boleyn caught the attention of the king. Obviously, it did. But what I like here, though it's done in a very provocative way, it's supposed to be done in a bad way, is the agency of Anne Boleyn. And I discussed it a lot in my own book, Thorns, Lust and Glory, The Betrayal of Anne Boleyn, where I discuss if the French betrayed her or not. And here, in that scene, we have a bit of Anne Boleyn's agency, and I do like it. I think it is well done. I think it is good. I think that it is true. And then she goes a bit further with a point that is quite interesting to discuss.
He fell in love with me. He respected me. And my opinions.
He fell in love with me, respected me and my opinions. Okay, that thing here, there's a lot to unpack because I personally believe that Henry VIII is unable to love anyone. So no, that did not happen. That's not possible. At the same time, I like that she said that because there is a personal relationship that happened between them. That's undeniable. The fact, and that's why, when people come at me, when I defend Anne Boleyn and say, oh, but she was awful, why did she expect the king to be faithful? they had an understanding that was very different from his marriage and relationship with Catherine of Aragon. At least it's what she hoped. So here, the fact that she said that is very interesting. Now this scene is going to turn into a propaganda against Anne Boleyn that I really, really despise. So here, obviously, like, she's outrageous, she's starting laughing, even Cromwell is looking at her. She's loud. She's disrespectful.
Is it?
You have no need to worry. There is good news all round. Catherine is dead.
Okay, so here we have it. She's happy, she's saying Catherine dead. The truth is, the only one who really, in the sources, who said that she rejoiced of her death, of Catherine's death, is Eustace Shappy, who already hated her, right? And maybe she was outrageous to him. Maybe she said something nasty to him because you have to understand that there were two factions absolutely trying to destroy one another. They could not have a winner without having a loser. And Anne Boleyn had been scared for years of being the loser. And ironically, she was going to be the loser regardless of the fact that Catherine, especially because Catherine was gone. Like, you know, I said it all the time, their fate was so intertwined. But here we just go into that myth that she's horrible. Look at her face. Catherine's gone, dead, and she's happy and she's rejoicing about it. And it's why people absolutely hate Anne Boleyn. But when you look at the French sources, there is no mention of that. Not at all.
And I am pregnant. Do you understand? I am carrying the king's son.
Okay, so first of all, yes, she was pregnant, but people would have probably known because she would have started to share. So I doubt that she would have told her father that. Like, she's going to have a miscarriage like a few weeks later, and in the sources they said that the fetus, you could see that it was a boy. So let's see, like, that she must been like 16 weeks pregnant, even maybe a bit further, to be able to see the sex of the baby. And that's the charges against her as well. Like, people are going to use that against her, saying that she was a witch, that, you know, nothing good could really come out of her. Like, she could not carry a son to term because she was so evil and bad. And that's also what Henry is going to use against her, really. But here is like the arrogance, the disrespect. And at the same time, it comes from a place where she's defending her role, defending her relationship with Henry to her father, but also showing that she had political agency. But this whole scene, this whole dynamic between father and daughter is so wrong in the show, in so many scenes. But that scene is probably one of the worst scenes of the show. It really depicts Anne Boleyn in the least flattering way. It really vilifies her for no good reason. I mean, there is no need to do that to her character. And I think we just keep moving on to myth after myth about her being happy about Catherine's death. At the very least, we should just make it something a bit more neutral, because the sources are so contradictory, right? Also, this thing where she talks about having a son, and again, it's her arrogance that is depicted. She had many miscarriages before. I don't think she would have been that kind of confident, showing it to her father, talking that way in a public manner, like, you know, where people could see her. And I just don't like at all the way she's portrayed here. I just think that we don't have the real Anne Boleyn. And it's going to always be hard to have the real Anne Boleyn, and we can have, you know, conflicted ideas. But it's just so sad when such a popular TV show chose to portray it that way. which would almost like justify in many ways what happened to her. Well, actually nothing can justify it in my opinion. Let me know in the comments what you think about that scene, if it made you really enraged with Anne Boleyn, or if you kind of understood her and also where she came from, because let's not forget that it was not easy. Like her relationship with Henry is so tumultuous. Her position as queen is so fragile. So I think we tend to forget the pressure she was under, not just to have a male heir, but also like not being fully recognized, not, having so many enemies and snakes at court. She was not in a very peaceful environment, if you wish. So let me know in the comments what you think about that scene, and if you think it's fair to Anne Boleyn. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!